this issue of the death penalty. They actually executed a guy in Texas night before last. It took them 27 minutes to actually declare this guy dead. And so I think that says a whole, that speaks in volumes about, you know, the drugs that they're using to administrate, you know, death on these guys that's actually sitting on death row. And my particular story is that I'm a fine example where I shouldn't be a death penalty. I spent 28 years in prison, and 20 of them was spent on Tennessee's death row for a crime that I ain't commit. I've been home now since June 1st, made it a year. So I've been home, I guess now, a year and a couple of weeks or so. The death penalty certainly is an issue that I think that we all should, you know, really just think about and try to, we have to take a stance in terms of how wrong it is, first off. Because like I say, my situation is one that, you know, everything that could have possibly went wrong in a capital trial went wrong in my trial, from fabricated evidence, the withholding of evidence of my innocence, everything that could have possibly went wrong. And I sit here, it's a miracle that I actually sit here. I mean, I don't sit here, I sit here despite the system. The system didn't work in my case. I think a lot of time people see, you know, guys being exonerated through DNA, and they think that, okay, this is, you know, how everybody get off. But the reality is most of the people that's been exonerated, DNA didn't have nothing to do with the charge that they was actually involved in. So, and in my case, you know, just I was actually tried and convicted in Memphis, Tennessee, in 1985 for a crime that actually happened in 1983. So it was 2 years after the crime actually happened that I was actually put on trial. And the ironic thing about my situation is that I had never been in the state of Tennessee until I was actually brought down here and put on trial.
Tried for murder.
Tried for murder. Wow. I was actually, I'm actually born and raised in St. Louis. I tell people now I'm an unwilling transplant to Tennessee now, but the reality is that
how did they so mix up your information and whatever to 2 years after a crime has been committed, they can find you in Missouri and end up bringing you to Tennessee and charging you and sending you to death? I mean, explain all of that.
I know the truth is more stranger than fiction, but what happened in my case was that the car that was actually supposedly used in the crime, in this robbery murder that actually happened in Memphis in 1983, was actually stolen from the St. Louis airport. Hearst Rental Company, car company, was in the airport. You know, the people involved in the crime actually stole the car from up there. So this is the link that when the authorities started in Memphis, Tennessee, looking for people that was possibly guilty of the crime, that it led them to St. Louis. Now, in my case, I had a prior criminal record, but I had never been locked up for no, you know, stealing no car. So I don't know how, and it was never explained. First off,
how you became a car thief.
Yeah, how I became not only a car thief, but how my name even came up as a suspect. Because if you have authorities in Memphis, Tennessee, send it to another jurisdiction saying that they interested in certain suspects, well then they're gonna be saying that we looking for car thieves, we looking for people that's committing robberies and murders and this stuff here. And in my case, you know, that was not my case. So like I said, it was never explained how my name actually came up. But what happened was, because I did have a prior criminal record, that certainly made it easier for the authorities to make me fit the case, because in my case is, like I said, the charge was actually 2 years old before I actually was put on trial. And so you had me, this young black male, been accused of killing a white prominent business person in Memphis, Tennessee. And at that point, it didn't make no difference, you know, that I wasn't the person, because I'm telling you that the prosecutors and the police, they fabricated evidence, they withheld mountains of evidence showing that I was actually innocent of the charge. And but yet and still, they went forward and did exactly what they did. I stood trial in 1985 in Memphis, and this is just kind of goes to show sort of what the system is lacking, still lack to some degree, when it comes to the issue of racism that's involved in the system, is that I actually stood trial in Memphis, Tennessee, and the black population then was, I think, 55% black population, but I was actually put on trial before an all-white jury. So that kind of tells you some about what was really going on at the time in terms of actually trying to do exactly what they did to me, just to say that they actually solved a case. So, like I said, everything that could have went wrong in the trial went wrong in the trial. They produced one eyewitness against me out of 18 witnesses or so, and during my trial, the witness testified that he thought I looked like the person, but he wasn't 100% sure.
Wow. And that's so the only one eyewitness.
He wasn't 100% sure. And so after what people, I don't know if a lot of people know, these guys probably know that, you know, when a witness testifies in a criminal charge, before he actually testified, the defendant is not allowed to have his statement that he gave the police prior to his testimony. So once they witness testified, then I was allowed to get his statement. So once we actually got this guy's statement and we started reading it, my lawyer saying, well, this person ain't saying, what he's saying, they ain't describing you. So we actually had the authorities to go back out that afternoon on this guy's job and bring him back in, and my lawyer can further question him about the description that he had gave the police just minutes after the crime. And what he said was that, literally, exactly what he said was that the police showed him several pictures of nobody but me and told him that I was the person. That's how he identified me. This is what he said in my trial. And so, you know, so like I said, and when they was actually also too, in my trial, saying that they had actually recovered prints of mine from the car.
We're going to have to break for our short commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Mr. al1, Ben Mathis, and Pastor Walker about capital punishment in the state of Tennessee. And Mr. al1 has given us quite a bit of information relative to his incarceration and his stint on death row. And we'll get back to him. But Ben, let's see if we can pick up with you in terms of some of the things that you've tried to do since you have been released, in terms of trying to keep people from following perhaps your footstep, to keep them out of jail in a real sense, out of trouble.
Well, Dr. Haney, I'm affiliated with a group called the Dirty Dozen. I imagine you've had them on your show before. And we go into schools. We even started at an early age. We started with 4th graders, because we got to catch them now at an early age, because when you wait till they get 12 or 13 years old, it's too late. So we go in these different schools and churches and stuff and talk to children and try to instill in them about this system and how bad this system is. And what we do is try to tell them to make good choices, listen to your teachers. That's the main thing I want them to do, listen to their teachers, because the teachers, like I tell them, the teachers got their education. They trying to help you get yours. Now, how can they help you get yours if you sit in the classroom acting a fool? You know, so these are some of the things that we do. Plus, we go into high rises and try to do different things for the older people, which I live in a high rise myself, and I like what we did here a month or so ago. We had a fish fry for the people, just give it to them. No charge, no nothing. It was got a little group called A Few Good Men. I'm a part of that. Well, matter of fact, I created that, The Few Good Men. And that's what we like to do. We try to do things, try to give back to the community, to show the people that because we made a mistake, that we're not bad people. We're not bad people at all. We just made one bad choice. Like me, I made one bad choice. I never had a criminal record or nothing in my life until this. And at the time, I was 43 years old. It ain't like, because the man, like when I went up for parole, the man told me, he said, Mr. Mathis, said, you was an outstanding fella in the community. I said, well, I try to do my best. You don't have nothing but this one charge. I said, yeah, that's it. But, but what we try to do, we still want to reach out to these kids because they are our future. And I was so proud the other day of some children. One kid, he graduated from Belmont University. I didn't know the guy. I didn't even know him. But Dr. Haney, he made me so proud, tears rolled down my eyes. I walked up to him and I hugged him. And son, I love you. I said, I don't know you, but I love you. And another little girl, she graduated and she got a full scholarship to UT. See, these are things that make us proud. Us fellas that's been incarcerated and the ones that's getting out here and reaching out for these children. This is what makes us proud. When we see our children doing good and staying out of trouble and not walking around here with their pants hanging off of them. We did a thing back in October last year called Pull Your Pants Up Day. So we do all these kind of things to try to reach out to our children. That's all we can do is reach out and tell them. And from there on, we hope they make the choices. And I think we reached quite a few of them.
Very good. Mr. Olatushanti, let's look at your experiences. And the reason I've raised this is because we rarely have an opportunity to talk to somebody who's been there, and you sat on death row for all of these years and then wonder, what was your mental state? I mean, how did you cope day in, day out? What would be a routine in terms of sitting on death row?
Right. I wouldn't necessarily say that. Certainly there are routines, but and they probably can vouch for this, I don't think that there's no such thing as really a routine day in prison because you never know what's going on.
What did you do every day?
Right. No, I understand that. I think that for me, I did a lot of reading. Like the first 10 years that I was actually locked up, I chose not to have a TV in my cell because I knew it would just be nothing but a distraction. And during that time, I became a prolific reader. I taught myself out of pain. I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of things that, just to try to break up the time and space because for the first few years that I was on death row, that I was actually in my cell for 23 hours of the day. So, and the only time you ever come out of your cell is you changed up and shackled like some imaginary monster. And when you come out of your cell, you got 2 officers escorting you in where you're going, and you can't walk 50 feet without turning a circle because the death row unit out at River Bend Prison is Unit 2 actually. You do everything in there. The only time you come out of that building is to go to court, if you have to go to the infirmary or the hospital or something that's bringing you outside that building, because everything else you do in there, you eat in your cell. Some cells even have showers in it, and they put them in there because they want certain people to not be out of their cell for no more time than necessary. So the little time that it would actually take a person to come out of their cell to be showered, they cut that time down by saying that they put a shower in the cell. So and certainly for me, even though I sit here, hopefully a whole person, I certainly didn't start out like this here. The first couple of years or so that I was in prison, I was pretty angry. And I don't think I ever lost my anger. I think that what happened for me was that a couple of years into my imprisonment, my mother was actually killed in a car accident. And I mean, I was already low, but at that point I couldn't be hurt no more. I was flat on the ground. So it was at that point that I I couldn't do nothing but get up because, I mean, the reality is that, and this is certainly a process that took some process for me in terms of being able to get through this fire, was that, you know, realizing and understanding that life gonna knock us down, but what's important is how we pick ourselves back up. And I think that, like being said, and I mean, even Pastor Walker, the work that they've been doing out here, you know, since they've been home, and I'm out here doing the same work that I'm sure that I know Ben was doing inside, just like I was, and probably him, in terms of trying to reach, you know, young people and let them know the seriousness about, you know, the situation. But I certainly seen people on death row. I got a good friend out there that they have to give them a shot once a month, and you know, if they can get somebody a shot once a month to lay you down for a whole month, there's got to be some powerful stuff. But they give them a shot once a month, and prior to this guy actually mentally, you know, becoming messed up, I mean, this guy, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have my GED. I was one of the people while I was sitting on death row that I chose to get a GED because I never internalized the ideal or belief that I wouldn't be beyond, that they was going to actually do what they, you know, was talking about doing to me. So like I said, I did everything that I possibly could to elevate myself mentally. And, you know, while I was on death row, me and a couple of guys, I don't know if you guys remember, it was a kid in 1995, I think his name was James Rollins. He was actually killed. He was 13 for a starter jacket by another kid. And there was, at that time, me and a couple of other guys on death row, we actually started this organization called Brothers United and Proud. And it was strictly getting guys in where we was to reach out to young people and try to make a difference in their lives based on some of the stuff that we was actually seeing at the time. So
very good. Let's let Pastor Walker close us out for today by making some statements in reference to what you believe in reference to what we ought to do. You've got about half a minute to do.
Well, you know, Dr. Haney, that's the whole downside to this whole death penalty thing, because you take some overzealous prosecutors that's willing to do anything and everything just to obtain a conviction so it can look good on their record, on their resume, you know, to build them up. But and then send some young black man or some young white man or some young white black woman, for that regard, in that respect, to the prison system for no apparent reason at all. And it's a bad situation, Dr. Haney, that should be looked in, should be corrected, because now you take, this man spent 20 years on death row and then another 8 years in the prison system before he was finally released from the system. All of this for a crime that he didn't even commit, hadn't even been in the state.
Very good. And of course, let me thank all of you for your participation, and let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.